Comping is one of the biggest issues that we have as wholesalers, right? Especially if you're just getting into it. These are the 5 things that you need to look for when you're comping your properties the right way. Let's go! So let's talk about comping, all right? Comping, finding comparable properties to the property that you're actually looking at as a wholesaler. If you're wholesaling deals, you're trying to negotiate deals with sellers, and you're looking at values all over the place, sometimes it can get a little sketchy, right? It can get a little tricky to find out exactly how much your property is worth. So what happens then? If you don't have the right numbers, if you don't have the right stuff to go off of, from the get-go, you're gonna end up offering way too much for the property, way too low for the property, or just giving out a number is not gonna make sense. So it's important to understand how to run comps. Now, one big thing that I want to make clear here is that we're not appraisers, all right? We're not interested in finding appraised value for the property. We just need good guidelines to go off of whenever we're putting together our offer as wholesalers. So again, we're gonna look at 5 different things that you must consider when you're running your comparables, running comps. Comparables is comps, and you're trying to come up with an accurate number for your property based on market activity. All right, that's simple as that. We're looking for comps so we can figure out how much the property is worth, and we can take that conversation over to the seller. Let's check it out. All right, comping, this is how it works. Again, one thing that I want to highlight is that we're not appraisers. We're just looking for a benchmark number, right? We're looking to find an accurate number that's decent enough to reverse engineer our offer from there. We're not going to get into the whole thing about, linear square footage and how long the fence is, the intricacies of running an actual appraisal. They go well beyond our scope. Do not attempt to get into those woods. They get dark, they get messy, they're ugly, there's bears and scary stuff that just pops out of there. All right, so we're just looking for a number that we can rationalize with the seller, and we can create a good, solid, logical offer off of that. And the actual math for the offer, it's outside the scope of this video. We're not going to go into that. We're going to focus on the 5 things that we need to keep in mind when we're running comps on properties. All right, I'm running comps right now through backstage.io. This is a program that we use for almost everything in our wholesale business, all right? To Pulse Capital, this is my own personal account. We pull lists out of here to just market to and then find motivated sellers. So if you're using something else like Zillow or any of the other platforms out there, the principles are still going to be the same. You're still looking for the same type of stuff, the same 5 things that we're going to cover right now. All right, for the sake of this, we're going to go into batchleads.io, which I highly recommend. If you want to find out more about this, click on the link. There's going to be a link in the description here. So you can try it out for a period of time for free. There's a free trial in there. List search. All right, I'm going to use just the top address that I have here. This is your subject property, right? So whatever property you're looking for, you just type it in there. It'll populate it. And you're going to do the same thing in Zillow or any of the other ones again. I like this one just because it's a lot easier to follow. You have a square that pops up on the right. You click on that. It's going to be the property details. And it'll give you the map. It'll give you, whatever pictures are available from the MLS, any of that stuff. This is a property that I actually used to own years ago. So it's kind of cool they still have my stuff on there. Comparables. All right. This is what I'm looking for. You're going to have a lot of property information. This is kind of, it's nice to have. We don't necessarily need it for the comps other than maybe the zoning. You get, you have some information like lot size and that sort of thing that you could take into account. But we're looking at comparables here. We're going to focus on the comparables tab. On the right, you're going to see the filters. All right. So these are all the filters that you can, come in and fine tune and tweak and move around. So you actually get closer to the most accurate properties that match your subject property. Now, getting into it, the stuff that the 5 things that you need to keep in mind when you're running comps, right? That's what this whole video is all about. Number 1, it's going to be finding properties that are within 10-year build of yours, all right? So if your property was built in the year 2000, like this was the year in the build 2000. This was built in the year 2000. We're looking for properties that are max 2010 build to 1990. Okay, so we have a 20-year range in there to play with. So on the filter, we're going to go built within 10 years, and you can see how you can play around with the filters in there. That's number one, built within 10 years. You're going to have similar filters in most of the other platforms. Now, second one is going to be within 300 square feet of the subject property, okay? Within 300 square feet of a subject property. So if your property is 2,200 square feet, you're going to go as high as 2,500 or 1,900, okay? That's as low as 1,900. So that's your range. That's the range of the properties that we're playing with. Number three, like for like, meaning that if you have a one-story, you're going to look for properties that are one-story as well. If you have a two-story with a pool, you're going to be looking for properties that are two-story and a pool. So like for like, okay? Zoning, in terms of amenities and all that stuff, you're going to look for things that make the most sense. You're going to try to just kind of mirror and match it. Granted, especially in areas that are very old, I mean, you have homes from the 1920s and whatnot, a lot of stuff is going to be custom built. It may be a little harder to find like for like properties, but you want to get as close as possible to it as you can, again, without getting too crazy on the adjustments and starting to think like an appraiser. We're not appraisers. We're just trying to figure out what the average value of the property is. And more importantly, we're trying to do this quick, right? Because we're talking to a lot of sellers like you're supposed to be talking to. We're going through a lot of analysis a day, all right? So we're looking at a lot of properties that we need to come in and then evaluate on a daily basis. So that's very important to be able to do it in a fast way. Focus on these 5 things and then run your comps that way. Get really good at these 5 things, finding out these 5 things about properties, and your comps are going to get a lot better, a lot faster. All right, so number 3 is like for like. Number 4 is going to be the distance, right? We're looking for properties within a half a mile to a 1 mile radius tops. The tighter, the better. So if you can start with a quarter mile, even better, right? So let's go here to the filter, located within 1 mile. Let's see what we can find in a half a mile. Let's keep it half a mile. And then built within 10 years. All right, so we're adjusting the filters right now. The 5th one is going to be sold within the last 6 months, right? So when is the time of sale? You don't want to go too far back in time because then those comps become irrelevant because the market is moving too fast, right? Especially right now. As of the recording of this video, I mean, price points are changing like crazy. There's a lot of appreciation in most markets, and that matters. All right, so go 6 months to maybe a year tops. If you can keep it tighter, keep it tighter. If you go 3 months and you find comps, use those comps. All right, so keep it tight. Let's see. We'll go sold within the last 6 months here. And those are the 5 things, right? So those are the 5 filters that I'm talking about. Built within 10 years, within 300 square feet of the subject property, like for like, half a mile to a 1 mile radius. Very important. On the half a mile, the distance, half a mile to a 1 mile radius, do not go over any major geographical dividers. Like, for example, we have this freeway. We have this big freeway right here. All right, so I'm not going to use properties in this area, even if they were closer to it. Within that 1 mile range, I'm going to try not to use properties here because this can impact the price point, right? Now, you have some stuff here south of the freeway. There's properties here. There's properties here. I'm not going to use any of these to comp these out, right? Because this might be a big critical factor that just divides the price points. So keep it within the same area. Try to look at similar neighborhoods. One pro tip here is to look at the roofs. Take a look at all the roofs. If they look similar, in terms of like the color patterns and that sort of thing, I mean, that's a neighborhood. All right, so keep that in mind. And then sold within the last 6 months. All right, so let's see what we get. We'll click the filter on that. And we got a few properties here. Ideally, we're looking for about 5 comparables, 5 comps that we can come in and leverage. Okay, so we're looking for a range. You can find out more information about the comps in a couple of different ways. You can start clicking around on the stuff that comes up, and you'll see some similar stuff in Zillow if that's what you're using, or you can just go to the summary down here, which I like. And my property is 2,200 square feet, right? So we established that it's built in the year 2000. The first thing I'm going to do is go to the square footage and then look at the year built. Because of the filters, all these things should be relatively close, so it'll filter out the properties that are in that area. It just makes comping a lot easier, a lot faster. 4-bed, 3-bath type of stuff. So this one right here, 2,000 square feet, is definitely a comp. All right. I'm going to select that. I'm going to add it in there. And 2,200 built in the year 2001. That's another comp, but it's too low. One thing, when you're running a range of comps, you want to throw out the lowest of the low and the highest of the high. Okay, when you're running your initial comps, the number that you're going to bring over to the seller, yeah, your low comps do help in that negotiation, but you have to take into account the supply and demand and the activity of the market and that kind of stuff. So we always throw out the lowest of the low and the highest of the high. We'll come back and use the highest of the high when we dispo the property with our buyers, right? We want to highlight the highest, sold properties out there, but that's after we have it locked up. If you try to negotiate a property like this, for example, and we have comps at 459, 460, and then you drop that 349 retail value with the seller, you're going to lose them quick. So this one's a little sketchy. We'll throw off the oddballs. That's 437. It's 2,300 square feet. So we can use that one. Built in 2004. 495. This is 1,800. 495. It's a bit high, but we can throw it in there. Let's move my face. And let's see, 469. This is 2,200 square feet. 2,000. Built in 2000. So we can throw that one in there as well. And let's see what else we got. Mm-hmm. 349. It's low. All right, I'm gonna go. If I don't have enough comps, and I really don't want to use these comps in the 349 because I know this market, right? I know that the price points are going to be a lot closer to the 459, 437 range. I'm almost tempted to actually throw out this 495 one just because it's way too high. So I'm going to throw that one out. And you can start playing around with the price points. I have 3 properties in there. Let's see what else I can get here. If I'm half a mile, let's go 3/4 of a mile. If I go 3/4 of a mile, what can I find? All right, so this is how you play around with those elements that I just mentioned when it comes to comps. All right, perfect. We have a 459, 1,900 square feet, so it barely makes the cut. And then we have a 445 here, 2,400 square feet, built in 2004. Perfect. Roanoke. Okay. And let's move my face again. All right. So let's do a little bit of math. Let's just add those up. And I'm using my handy dandy calculator here. Keep it super simple. 459 plus 437 plus 469 plus 459 plus 445. All right, so I'm just taking the thousands and then equals 2.269. So let's divide that by 5 because I have 5 comps and my average is 453.8. All right, so that's the average, 453.8. I ended up with 453,800 as an ARV, just using those comps, right? So now I know that if an appraiser comes and looks at the property, he's running comps, he's looking at stuff around the neighborhood. We can justify a 450 price point, right? Yes, I know there's a 469 over here. Or 459, it's in the 460s range. So it could be justified a little higher. But realistically, we can actually make a logical argument for a price point, ARV of 450. Now, this is not very important. This is not the number that we're going to take back to the seller, okay? That's a whole different video. That's about your thresholds and your offers. This is the number that you're going to start using to reverse engineer your offer. You're looking for an ARV, an after repair value, and that's what this is. When you're running comparables, you're only looking for the price point that makes sense as far as the market value. So you understand where to begin, so you can start to calculate your offer from that, okay? And again, that how to figure out the price points and making your offers, it's a whole different video. We can talk about that later. But right now, I want to highlight just the importance of starting with a good ARV price point, and that's the foundation, that's the basis, right? Now, you have the number, and we end up with a 450. If you and the seller can agree that the property is worth around 450, you have a little bit of room to wiggle, here with. Heck, you might be able to negotiate it even a little lower if you use some of the lower comps. But realistically speaking, these numbers are pretty solid for the price point where I'm at. So 437, 445. And then you have one in the 469 range, right? So say that the seller says, yeah, okay, I agree, the property's worth about 450. Why? Because you have 430s and 440s in here. You lock the contract up. On the dispo side, you're going to rework your numbers, and this is just like a ninja trick, advanced tip right here. You're going to rework your numbers, and you're going to sell your property to your end buyer based off of the high comps, okay? So we go back and we sell it off of the 459 and the 469 range of properties when you locked it up in the 445 and 437 range. So I hope that makes sense. Again, we're not appraisers. We are just looking for an ARV, after repair market value, so we can start the negotiation with the sellers. And that is how you run comps. Boom. All right, so hopefully that wasn't too complicated. Again, we keep it simple, right? We are wholesalers. We're in the business of finding distressed properties, negotiating deals, and then selling that to an end buyer who's going to come in and then do the fix and flip. They're going to buy and hold it. They're going to do whatever they want with that property. Our skill set is in negotiation. In the negotiation process, we have to understand how much the property is worth. So it's very important to know how to run a good analysis on a property, especially how to do it quick, because we're going through a lot of stuff. These are the 5 things that we look for, like we just covered. So go back to those 5 elements of comping that we just covered, and keep it simple. Again, you're not an appraiser, so don't get too caught up in the exact amounts. Run comps, look for 5 different properties that matched yours, and then round up the values that way, right? So I'm gonna ask you guys, if you look at the content that I'm putting out there for you guys every single week, please subscribe, like, and share. It really helps me spread the word. And we all elevate together, right? So that's the whole point of this, okay? That's the whole point of putting stuff out there together, so we all learn and elevate each other. We can squat up. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. I want to have a conversation. This is a two-way street, right? And if you want to find out more about coaching and real estate, go to reiwholesaling.com, follow the link below, and let's have a talk about that, see if it's a match. Until then, stay focused. You got this. Let's go.